PlayStation 4 disc-based games don't need to be connected online to play.
Greetings and welcome to a Let's Talk, where we've just hit the 5-year anniversary for the PlayStation 4 announcement, and we want to talk about how far it's come since then. So I'm Russell, and joining me is Mitchell.
Hello.
Hello.
PlayStation.
PlayStation for the players.
For the players.
Yeah, for the players. They've got good slogans, admittedly. Or at least I like their slogans, in general, putting them at the end. 5 years since its initial reveal back in February 20th, 2013. Long time.
Long time. Doesn't feel that long, though.
Yeah, it's surprising how fast 5 years have gone, really, in the grand scheme of things.
When last gen felt like it never ended.
Yeah, that's very true. But yeah, the announcement, I think when it first was announced, there was definitely a positive buzz, but there wasn't I think Xbox at the time was so strong. Still, it was there was no disconnect where it's PlayStation's clearly going to be the better console this generation.
Yeah,
right?
nobody knew.
Yeah, but as time progressed and it got to E3, which was the time for everyone to show what they had cooking, that's where things changed, big time.
Forever.
Yeah. So at E3, we had Microsoft's, let's call it shit show of a conference. It wasn't great. It just the overall message they were putting out, always online.
Yeah, Connect.
You Connect. You can't share the software. Yeah, it's one license.
Rest in peace, pre-owned games.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff. And then old Jack Trenton, old Sony over there, are going, you know what? We're not doing any of that. We're just doing what you've experienced forever in console gaming. And that's apparently what gamers want. Just the same old, same thing. Nothing new.
That was the best thing I've ever seen, is just because they had their conference after, they were just going, they probably changed the conference so much just to hit at every failure Microsoft just made that would be their advantage.
And it was crazy because I don't expect they would. It's they could have known. It was just it just worked out for them. Where it's man, everything's just kind of matched up. Where our goals are the exact opposite of everything that people were negatively responding to at Microsoft.
Yeah, perfectly. And
so,
then, yeah.
And yeah, so when it came to the conference, we're not doing that. We're just doing it like it always was. You can still share your games. There's not a subscription service or any of that kind of stuff. It was just what people wanted, and people lost their shit.
Yeah, and they even made a little video with Shuhei.
Sharing the game.
Sharing the game.
That was classic video. Very funny.
Shots fired.
And that was when the momentum happened, because they announced the price too, and we found out PS4 was going to be $399 in the US or $550 down under, and that was such a big jump from what they had what they'd done previously with the PS3. Obviously, the PS3 changed over time and eventually became a good console, but at launch it was not the same thing. E3 rather, when they announced the price.
Ridge Racer.
Yeah, $599 US, $999 down under. It was expensive.
That was not even I can't back then we had no way of affording that.
Yeah, this was a long time ago. Where it's that price was nuts, especially comparison to Microsoft. It's 360, which was $399 USD, and then I think it was $650 for the Australian market. So there was just such a big difference, and admittedly, the PS4 and Xbox One difference wasn't as drastic.
No,
it was a $100 difference in the US, and then it was about a $50 difference in Australia. So it wasn't too drastic, but Xbox was more expensive, and it was the one that people weren't happy with. So Sony just kind of started off great, and then just that momentum just kept dragging them through all the way to now. If you kind of look at the games they released, for the launch, it's not the greatest launch.
No.
We had Knack. Did you play Knack, Mitch?
I've never played Knack. Might with PS Plus though.
Yeah, but it's Knack's the biggest joke. It's the game that kind of no one wanted to play really. There's nothing inherently bad with that game really. It's just so old school, but nothing that it just doesn't have the charm of those old school games. But it still feels like them. If you play them, they still kind of feel the same. Killzone Shadowfall was the big graphics.
Oh god, that
showcase.
game looked phenomenal.
Yeah, and I just think the color contrast of something I remember the blue in the city, just the flashing and everything. It was it looked really.
It was
good.
not what you expected from Killzone. a game that notoriously has been brown.
Yeah, very dark. And at that point, it's so bright. It's like,
And it did
yes.
show the shift that games had taken, that we've gone away from the really dark color scheme that we had last generation, which was everywhere, to what we have now, are very different.
Yeah, and then there was also Resogun, which was the game, I think the sleeper hit, really. It wasn't a game that was like heavily advertised. I mean, it's Housemarque, they make great games. But I think when the reviews started coming out and like Housemarque was like, Resogun's game was like on the top of the list continually, I think that's what really made it stand out. I think for the most part, it's like one of their better selling games just because of that. That launch release.
Didn't it launch in PS Plus?
Yeah, that's true. It was a PlayStation Plus game, which like really sold the service as well, where it's like you get this game straight off the bat for free for everyone who owns a PS4, and I guess who pays for PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
But it was really like the good starter. But that was kind of it. Infamous Second Son got delayed until I believe it was March the following year.
Yeah.
So I think it still hit the launch window, but it was a while after. And even then, that game, although it also looked amazing, the story was kind of like so-so. But visually, it looked really good and played well as well. But other than that, basically it was third-party stuff, and that's kind of like what they rolled on. Like there was Black Flag, there was Call of Duty Ghosts, Battlefield 4. Like the big hitters that also were coming out on the past gen was like they look better and prettier. On
they run better. Everything's better about them.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what Sony was or has been for a long time, is like reliant on those third-party games to really just keep selling the console. The exclusive separation's been like for the first couple of years at least, huge gaps in between.
Yeah, there's really not much coming out for a while.
And that was kind of like just how it worked, I guess, for the Sony platform. But things are changing though going forward.
Things are changing.
Things are changing. But I want to talk about the system and the experience though. For me, the thing that I didn't even know how much I disliked it was the PS3 controller until I started using the PS4 controller and then going back. The PS3 controller I always thought was fine and then I just it's shit now. I hate it. PS4 controller, I love it though. Especially the triggers. I was just something about the triggers are just addictive to use.
Honestly, this is the one thing we'll never ever agree on of what is the better controller. I think it's definitely improvement, but it's been so long using other controllers, I can't make that adjustment. It just does not work for me.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with the Xbox controller. It's not fine, but just the upgrade for the PS4, that's the one that I just like the most. It feels the most bulky. I like this little light up features. Although admittedly are really just a display thing. They don't really make any difference.
Yeah, they don't make a difference.
Yeah, and the touchpad essentially just become the glorified map button over time.
Very much so.
But it still adds something. I've gotten very used to pushing the middle button, which I can't say I was initially. I mean, that's kind of what happened with the history of Sony. They continued on that track record. They started to release some more exclusives. We got some big ones. Bloodborne, I think being probably the biggest one for you, Mitch.
Yeah, and I didn't play it at launch, really.
Yeah, it's huge game, brand new IP. It's a brand new IP.
It's new. It's just very Soulsy.
Dark Souls related. Horizon for me is the biggest though, and I think for Sony it probably is their biggest one, where it's that guarantee will be getting sequels.
100%.
She will be Aloy in that game will be the poster child for PS4, probably PS5 going forwards. That is definitely the biggest hit I felt like they've had this gen.
That was new, completely new.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you compare PS1, PS2, PS3 to PS4, up to now, we haven't had much. It's Bloodborne, Horizon, Until Dawn, I think was another one that was pretty big, but a lot of the other ones haven't been huge, like Drive Club, Order 1886.
Yeah, so they've been a disaster like that one.
Yeah, where the other generations, we're still getting more of them. God of War's on the horizon. That's just a follow-up. We've got Uncharted 4. Great games. Well, we don't know about God of War, but I'm assuming it's going to be great.
We hope. We really hope so.
But they weren't new games. They were just building on it.
Whereas you can point to the PS3 era having Resistance and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's just and multiple games of them. You got Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, and Last of Us in the exact one generation. So far, we've got Uncharted 4, and re-releases for Last of Us and Uncharted 1, 2, and 3.
And Lost Legacy.
Yeah. Oh, and Lost Legacy. Sorry, yes, that as well. And maybe Last of Us Part 2, but
we'll see.
PS5, like, I feel like it's the one that's been the most reliant on third party as opposed to exclusives. I feel like so many of the other generations had just banging up exclusives left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Especially by the end. But I think Sony's set up to do a similar structure. Like, they've suddenly got all these games on the horizon.
Yeah.
A lot of which could be this year.
Everything's gone the way they want it to.
Yeah, like, Days Gone is probably this year, but we don't know for
I haven't heard about it.
Yeah. Detroit Become Human, I'd say almost definitely
That's
this year.
That's a definite. I would bet on it.
Yeah, Dreams, at this point, from what they showed at the PlayStation conference last year, that I expect it will be
PSX?
the game. Yeah, PSX. And Ghost of Tsushima, I don't know. We haven't seen enough. I expect more at E3, but it probably isn't this year.
It's not this year, and then we got Spider-Man, which,
yeah, of course.
Which will be this year.
Yeah, that's going to be the big hitter, I think. Unless it gets pushed. It could be early next year. It could be like the God of War next year. But I think that...
Just to kind of go a bit off topic, it's the same year as Avengers Infinity War, so like there's so much Marvel hype.
True. I mean, there's always Marvel hype, though. That's the thing. It's like,
yeah,
Marvel
but you
hype
can get in on the big one.
Yeah, true. That is their penultimate one. They've been building up for like 10 years or whatever. So the Infinity War is a big deal. And of course, we have games that won't come out this year, but I'm super excited for, like Death Stranding, the Final Fantasy VII remake, maybe at some point.
Maybe we might see it this year.
No, it's not maybe this year. I'm hoping it's a PS4 game. That's my question, because it might not be. And then Last of Us Part 2 will probably be like the very end of the PS4, I suspect.
Yeah, so replicate what it did last generation.
Yeah.
Going off with a bang.
Yeah, going up with a bang. I mean, we also saw like Sony's getting good at remastering stuff. Like we saw Crash Bandicoot. I mean, that wasn't them, but it's currently it's only on Sony's console.
We'll see if they will jump ship, but
yeah. But Vicarious Visions like did a wonderful job with that a game, and then we saw Shadow Colossus very recently, which another wonderful like up-raising of these old games.
That was brilliant.
It's just like I don't necessarily agree with that. I've heard a lot of people say like it's the best looking PS4 game. Now, I don't think it's true, but it looks freaking good. Like it is one hell of a good looking game.
Yeah.
And then the Medieval remaster, which they announced. So that I expect that's coming this year.
And rumors of a purple
Spyro.
dragon.
Yeah, a certain purple dragon. I'd say that's 100% guaranteed. Crash sold a ridiculous amount.
Activision aren't stupid. They love money and they know where they can get it.
Yeah,
Spyro.
Spyro is definitely coming. It's just a question of, is it this year, next year? It's probably this year, honestly. E3 is probably when they reveal that game.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, if these 5 years up to now, really a great experience. But not really reliant so much on Sony stuff. It's really been that third party.
Very much so.
Games. I mean, yeah, the exclusives like Persona, like even 5. You know, it is an exclusive game, but it's not first party. You know. But yeah,
it's got the support of developers, especially in Japan.
Yeah, and that's kind of been Sony's track record, just like building this empire up that potentially could be their biggest year this year. I just see a lot of really good games on the horizon. That's not a play on Horizon. But yeah, it's just...
There's no Zero Dawn.
No Zero Dawn. But thank you for joining me, Mitchell, to have this reminisce on 5 years. I think I spoke a lot more than you did.
Yeah, well, my history with PlayStation is very, very limited. And this has been the first console of Sony's that I bought at launch, so it's been good. It's been good to try out the blue team rather than the green and PC team and red team.
And that's just in even itself like an interesting thing. It's like you were so much a Microsoft person, and like Sony's like caught you this generation.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's so many good games on PS4. It's hard to not.
Yeah. And thank you, of course, for our audience who watched this video.
Thank
hopefully,
you guys.
and enjoyed it, found something useful or worthwhile listening to in this.
Hopefully, if you don't think you did, dislike it.
Yeah, dislike it if you didn't think there was anything worthwhile in here. But of course, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Guess that's a good thing.
This is how you share your
PlayStation.
Thanks.
PlayStation.
Thanks.
PlayStation.
Thanks.
Some form of connectivity is called Xbox 360. Called Xbox 360. Called Xbox 360.
Right.